masculinity.
Welcome once again to our live podcast. This is your boy Rolando here. We're on week number 2. Yes, believe it or not, it's week number 2. Say something to the folks there, Nando.
Hey, how you doing all? Week number 2, exciting topics and conversations to come. So I'm ready. I hope you all are excited because I am. But let's go. We're ready to go for week 2 for sure.
We're ready to go. And last week we had a rich, lively conversation here.
Right.
For those of you who missed it, we hope that this week you're ready to take that deep dive with us. Okay, we hope you're ready to take that deep dive with us because last week, I'm telling you, the house came down, the questions flowed. We had people from down the United States. We had people from in Ontario, Canada. We had people from Alberta. We had people from North Carolina. Listen, guys, we are saying that this is a place for you to be. On a Wednesday evening, you need to make sure you put the schedule in your calendar that there's no place that you'd rather be than XY Spark.
Yeah.
XY Spark podcast.
Definitely.
Okay. So what's going on? Nando? How's your week, buddy?
It was a good week. Practicing what we preach, trying to keep a strong head as a young man in society right now. So it was a good week. I can't complain. How about yours? How did it go?
Man, I was in the grind, man. I'm trying to, be a dad, be a husband, be a worker,
You still gotta do it.
And it's so interesting that you asked that, Nando, because our topic that we're going to continue to have is like a revolving door. What does it mean to be a man in 2023?
Right.
And what really that looks like.
What it looks like, right.
Take a time and give a shout out to those who are joining us live, Nando. Those who are joining us live.
Well, right now, I don't see who's on our live right now. I don't know. I guess our folks are a bit behind right now, but that's fine. While people gathering, also just to piggyback off what we're trying to, talk about off week 2. This week we're trying to even focus on, men who grew up with single moms who grew boys, without fathers or stuff. So that's a topic that we love to even hear people chime in and say, what they think, what's their views on that, because that's something that, again, we don't have all the answers or we don't know everything. We're just trying to learn as we go along too. That's our
learn as we go along. Learn on the fly, we say, right?
Right on the fly.
and we want to make sure that we give some of our listeners on Instagram. So right now, as I'm here with you, Nando, I'm going to try to go live on Instagram as well for all Instagram followers, and let you know that we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitch.
And we also on Twitch. Right.
Okay. For those who may not know, we plan to be here every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. And you know what?
As long as we have breath in our lungs, we'll be here.
As long as we have breath in our lungs and as long as we are healthy, we will be here. But you know what would be great? An idea just came to my head. I'd like those who are joining us live to just type in the chat, where are you joining us live from?
Yeah, where are you joining us from? Yeah, so we can know.
So we can give a shout out to you, right? Is that okay? We want to say, hey, shout out to that person in this place, in this location. And we hope that you guys are spreading the word and letting more men know that, listen, we are here to empower men as we have these discussions.
Open space, open platform. Don't be afraid to ask anything. You can even just be, I don't want to say my name. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're all here to try to get answers and to get help, because we need strong men in the especially in this world right now, we need strong men. You know.
Yeah. You know, I'd like to start off our conversation this evening, Nando, by
Right.
just talking about, because this topic, some persons may look at it and say, what does it mean to be a man? You know, what are some of the barriers that we would say that men face? Some of the things that sort of influences and impacts men to the point where they have lost their identity. They're not quite sure who they are. And when we look right across the board, we have so many men who have lost their way. Men have lost their way to addictions, men have lost their way
to friends,
to friends.
friends.
Men have lost their way in living, choosing unhealthy lifestyle choices. So many different things are happening now
Right.
to men. So I'd like to start out that conversation by just talking, Nando, about, what have you noticed? What would you say are some of the things that you think, hey, you know what? This is what I've noticed. This is what I'm seeing happening more and more to more men. What does it mean to be a man in 2023? So, I'm not going to put Nando on the spot because it's not fair.
I like being on the spot, man. I'm ready.
Like being on the spot?
Yeah, I'm here to share. Because
okay, well, go for it, buddy. You go for it.
The good thing about it is, you're my father, so we're not in the same age group or age. Your friends probably be, in your group, and my friends in my group. And I don't have a lot of friends, but I work out. I go to the gym, so I see men. So I see married men and I see single men. Most men who are married are probably like military, because I'm in the military area in North Carolina, so I see a lot of that. But the younger ones, the other ones who are not married, and they look at me and be like, "Yo, you're so young. Why are you married? That's weird." They're not really thinking about, that doesn't make them a man or whatever. What makes them a man is they can work out, they can buy a flashy car, they have a great job. Of course, that's good. You have a job, so that's good. That's never a bad thing as a man. You need a proper job, a solid job, but you don't have structure,
right?
And
so it's important. So Nando, and I want to say a shout out to those who are joining us live on Instagram. Shout out to Jamie. I have known Jamie now for years, from way back in the day when I attended Northern Cab University. I also see Stefan send a wave. So shout out to all live viewers on Instagram. I think I just saw Luke, who's joining us live on Facebook. So Luke, is glad to have you. And guys, listen, wherever you're joining us from, we'd like you to just type in the chat where you're joining us from. And we just want to reiterate that this podcast is going to be live every Wednesday night at this time. And this is week 2, all right, where my son and I, Rolando Jr., are doing a father-son duo where we're creating a safe space for men to come and let's empower each other. Let's talk about the issues. And listen, you're also more than welcome to join in the chat. So type in the chat, and whatever you type in the chat,
any comments, whatever, man, it doesn't matter. We're just here. As a topic, just to let them know, because whoever is just coming in, what we piggyback, like what we're gonna do, what we're gonna talk about, is I'm giving my experience of what I see, of what it is to be a man in my generation, and then my dad would have a different experience, but it's 2 different scenarios, man. It's night and day. What it is in the 2000s to be a man, or in the 90s and now.
Yeah.
You need to be flashy, man. You need to have a fast car. You need to be change a different girl every week. That's what it is about for most, younger dudes right now. Not speaking for everyone, but based on what I'm seeing. Yeah.
So are we saying that, if I'm hearing you correctly, are we saying that, Nando, that one of the things that you find in your era is there are a lot of men who, for them, what it means to be a man is based on the materialistic things that they have acquired. You know,
Pretty much.
having the nice wheels.
You gotta have nice wheels, the nice,
having the hottest chick on the arm.
Facts.
You know, when you go out to hang out, you know, you're buying the most expensive liquor.
Right. You got to be flashy. Everybody got to see you. You know.
Yeah, you know, everybody needs to see you, and it's like there is this drive to meet the standard.
Right.
You know, and how does one say no to his body? You know, I see Luke joining us on Instagram. Hey, Luke, good to see you. Okay, guys, let's type in the chat. You know, where you're shouting from, and we'd like to hear we'd like you to share your view on this. What does it mean to be a man in 2023? And I'd like to hear from your perspective. You know, none of us share this perspective. If you're joining us on Instagram, we'd like to hear from you. In your world, what does it mean to be a man? And are there any barriers that you're seeing? Is there anything that you have noticed that is causing men to be distracted from representing truly what it means to be a man? So in 2023, we'd really like to talk about it, and we really like to hear from you. Type in the chat, you know, what does it mean to be a man in 2023? And do you feel that you have any form of barriers or anything that's distracting you or pointing you in a direction where you feel like you're losing yourself? Because a lot of us, we're not quite sure what it means to be a man.
We don't even have a clue. Where does it start?
Where does it start? And that's a good question. You know, there's a quote that I want us to reflect on. Dr. David McClellan from Harvard University, he said this. He said that the people that we associate with the most are known as our influence group. Okay. And they determine as much as 95% of our failure or success in life.
Right.
How do we as men in 2023 challenge ourselves to break away from associations that we know for a fact is toxic and is not helping us? How can we prevent that from happening? Because a lot of men, they struggle with the fear of missing out. Okay, they say FOMO. Can I use that? Is it okay for a guy in my era to use that modern expression?
What are you talking about, guy? Yeah. Yeah, FOMO.
So a lot of men, they lose themselves because of this fear. All right. So how do men remain being men, and how do we define what a man is in 2023?
Yeah, the chat need to chime in on that too, because as we said, the thing is, the question is wide based. You know, it covers different things, and as we said, you know, before, where does it start? Like, where does the foundation of this is what it means to be a man. This is what a man do. This is an example of the right guy, as people would say, or the good guy. You know, where does it start? If you're growing up in a home, you might have both parents, but is your father a good role model of a proper man?
And where do we learn that from, to because that's a big. Now, who do we learn what it means to be a man? You know, and Luke asked a question here live on Instagram, which is, why do we need to define who is a man? Why do we need to define who a man is? That's a good question, because you know, if we're really looking at it, Sometimes we hear things like this, and Luke, thank you for typing that in the chat. But sometimes, if we really are honest with ourselves, there are a lot of men who have lost their way because they might have been in a relationship where they have a partner who makes them feel like they're not good enough or they're not man enough. And so as they experience the toxicity of that relationship, when they leave that relationship, they start questioning their manhood. There are men who suffer with erectile dysfunction, and they feel sometimes like they are not man enough. It's a good question.
You can't leave nothing on the table. It's the truth.
Yep. There
That's
are
a big deal. That's a big deal.
Men who consider themselves to be failures because their relationships did not work out. So they have failed at one or two marriages. So sometimes they feel, hey, I'm not man enough. There are men who their identity was wrapped up in the hat that they wore in their profession.
Right.
And now that they're no longer in that job, they might have gotten laid off or something went south. They feel like, hey, I'm not man enough because I'm not managing anymore. I'm not, I'm not controlling a group of men. I'm not doing it,
You're
and
not
so
boss anymore, so you don't feel you have that control and authority. Like you're.
Yeah, absolutely. And live here on Instagram, in the chat, Luke says here, it seems that we, and I like how we put it, that we men are losing our identity.
It not seems, it's the truth.
Tell us some more. Why do you say it's the truth, Nando? Why do you say
of course we're losing our identity. I mean, if you look at certain scenarios, there's a man in the house, but the woman is more doing the stuff that a man is supposed to do. It's like men now are just like, lazy considered. So women are kind of, there's a lot of jobs that women could not do. But because the workforce is short, because if our men are not dying, they're in jail.
Ooh.
So what you expect the economy to do or the society? They have to improvise. And who's there to do it? The women. So Luke is right. It's not like it seems like we're losing our way. There's a few of us who are still holding on to the way.
Now, here's another side to because some guys would say what it means to be a man in 2023 is, once I'm providing for my family,
I'm a man.
I'm a man. I'm man. Okay. Right. I'm providing for my family. What more do I need to do? And there are some men who, they believe that being a man is providing the physical needs for my family. And that's as far as they go.
What's going on with your masculinity? What's going on with your mind as a man? Like, that's not right.
Yeah, but how do you tell a man that hey, listen, yes, you're providing for your family, but your family has more than just physical needs. They have spiritual needs, they have emotional needs, they have psychological needs. So how do we promote that to a man who believes that, hey, once I'm working hard and I'm providing, my family lives in a comfortable house, they drive a comfortable vehicle, my kids, I buy them anything they want, what more do I need to do?
It all depends on the man though. Some men, they do that, but they're okay. The other thing is, it's hard to really tell a man who's doing that hey, that's not right. I don't even know how to answer that myself, because I don't think I could go to a man who is doing it, providing, everybody's okay. Deep down he probably close up in a room every night and just, but who knows? But how do I?
It's no, and that's the piece, that's the piece, Nando, because here's the reality. There are some of us as men, we have taken on this role of being, an alpha male.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain things that we don't consider to be okay for a man to do
Right.
in the home. Once he's providing, he's supposed to go home and, throw his foot up and do nothing else.
And drink a beer.
Is that what it means to be a man in 2023?
No, I beg to differ. Hope not.
That's what I'm saying. Does it mean that I'm a man when I'm able to play 2, 3 women? That's what it means to be a man. Does it mean that I'm a man because I'm able to hold my liquor, and the life of the party?
But to be honest, though, to some people, that's what it is for them. That's why I remember Luke said, what is really what's the real meaning of what is a man? Like, what does it mean? Because for us, we're looking at the whole thing. We're not looking at just one aspect of this is what it is to be a man. But you have the people out there who, they can hold their liquor. They have 2, 3 women, whatever. And for them, maybe that's what they know. And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. It's just hard. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to really retrain something that was enlisted maybe from their generations coming all the way up.
And wherever you're joining us from, thank you for joining us here on X-Wise Park. This is our podcast. We're here every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you're more than welcome to type in the chat. For viewers on Instagram, thank you for joining us. We have another question in the chat here from Luke, who, Luke has another very interesting question. But we want you to know that we're open for your comments. So if you're there joining us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, please type in the chat. We'd like to hear your perspective. And Luke has a question here on Instagram where he's saying, has anyone noticed how Hollywood is making that push? Now, Luke is saying Hollywood is making a push. I'm not sure which push Luke is making referring to. Okay, and I'm not sure if the push is, hey, the alpha male, where the guy is supposed to, there are things that guys do and there are things that girls do, and once the guy's doing this, the girl should not expect him to do this and all that piece. So being a man, and Nando said something so critical, which is maybe that's all the guy knows, but is it working?
But I mean, for him, maybe it is, because that's what he knows. But for us looking from the outside, you're like, boy, you're just going to self-destruct, because you do go down that road as a man if you continue at a certain path in life for a while. Get to the path where you're just like, you probably start getting the ED problems and all that. You start getting problems, and then you start seeing who's really there for you when you get sick.
Yeah.
Because if the body don't get rest, then one day it's just gonna.
Yeah, it's a good point. Luke says that when he talks about the push, he's talking about females taking over lead roles.
Right.
So it's a good point. Now here is another interesting scenario. So females are taking over lead roles. Does being a man in 2023 mean that when that starts happening, you should feel intimidated, or you should feel feel threatened? Okay. Yes, Nanda, you're
yeah, I don't know what happened. Sorry.
It's okay, don't worry about it. All right. Because there I see my friend, I see Wendell joining as well. I think Wendell, where you join us from, Wendell join us live here on Instagram right now. We're talking about what does it mean to be a man in 2023, and the feeling that the thing that I've noticed is there are some men, Nando, who they feel threatened when they see women stepping up and taking on certain lead roles. So
not some men. I'm one of those. I'm one of those men. Sorry.
You're one of those men.
I'm kidding. I'm not one of those men. I don't feel trapped. Who is gonna do it? As I said, who's gonna do it? If our men are not dead, they're in prison. So
but when you say dead, can you define that? You mean under the grave, eh? Under the ground, in the grave.
Yeah.
But there are some men now, sadly, there are men now who are walking around who they're living deads.
Right.
And let me tell you what I mean, guys, when I say that. Some of us as men, we are not challenging ourselves enough to break out of our comfort zone. We are living our life in excuses. We're living our lives in limiting beliefs. We're living our lives based on cultural expectations. We're living our lives without understanding or acknowledging that there is something that is going on with me, that I have to take ownership of it, and I've got to do the work that's necessary to break that cycle. So, right. And that's why I say there are some of us as men who were living deads, and that's why the women have to step up and take those lead roles, Luke, because we as men, we have to start taking more ownership for the change that we need to see happening.
Well, yes. Yes.
Is that too strong of a comment? And Wendell, I see you joining us. If you have something to say, Wendell, you can tap it in the chat, because this is an open discussion. We are here to learn from you, and we're hoping that all our listeners can learn something from us as well. But we want to continue this conversation around what does it mean to be a man in 2023, because we are passionate about creating this safe space, empowering men, helping more men to understand that it's okay for you to step out of that comfort zone,
right?
That self-created comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for you as a man to step out of that. Right, and that's what we are saying. Luke says here is running us live in the chat. The media is pushing feelings are over facts.
Feelings are over facts.
Okay, so it's about how you feel now. It's not
the facts.
The facts.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's horrible. That's horrible. That makes
what do you mean?
You mean feelings like that makes no sense. So the fact is, if that person build that bridge, is gonna fall down. So you're still gonna say, because that one feels bad about it, you're gonna let him build it, right? All right, go ahead. It's like you're setting up the world for failure, and people are just going along with it,
Yeah.
So that's just bad. This is bad.
And Nando, that's the next thing, because being a man in 2023 doesn't mean that we should just go along. We should just go with the flow. Does it mean that being a real man in 2023 is going to mean that I've got to be willing to stand up for what I believe in, even when I feel lonely?
Right.
Even when I feel like
you can't give up.
There's nobody else on my side.
I agree with that.
Yes?
Yeah.
Is that what it means to be a man in 2023? In 2023, does it mean being a man means that I've got to have some boundaries? Some boundaries that are set where I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I will not compromise on this boundary. Because this is what is working for me. This is what makes me achieve my goals. So I would love you to take some time to think about that in your own life and in your own experience. Have you been following through with that which is true to you? In other words, what are your non-negotiables? Do you have any non-negotiable? Or you're the guy that,
you're Mr. Free Flow.
Yeah.
If you're Mr. Free Flow, then you have to have some, that's the thing is we're so settled, so we don't really set those boundaries or have any. We just take it and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take all those 50 bads for that one good, because of that one good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not sitting down thinking, as a man, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that.
Mm-hmm.
So now you end up setting up yourself for failure, because because as men we're gonna search for what we really want. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Either you're gonna do that, or you're actually setting up yourself for failure. Wherever you take it is failure. So I say stand firm on what you believe in from day one. And I'm telling my own self that too, because I said I'm learning from this as much as you out there are learning, and we all trying to learn and trying to figure this thing out. We might not figure it out 100% or crack the code, but at least we have a little bit of help or a little community where we can come and all share. So stand firm on what you know and hold your ground.
Yeah.
You gotta hold your ground, man. As men, we gotta hold our ground. That's just
man.
Even
Man, here's another powerful comment. It says, "Are we willing to give up our career for standing up for what we believe?" That's a deep question.
Who asked that question?
Luke,
are you willing to do that? I'm gonna ask you first.
Luke, now let's put in the question back at you. He's asking,
are you willing to do that?
I see also a good friend of mine, Zlatan, has joined, and Luke says that, are you willing to give up your career or stand up for what you believe, or continue to be to play it safe, to please others?
Right.
That's a deep question, because one of the pieces that, if we were to be honest with ourselves, is there is a consistent drive and push to make money.
I mean, you got to.
We need it, right?
Got to.
Right? But are we compromising our standards to make money?
We all are. Most of us. Unless you're in a self-employed job that you create and from the ground up that, I built this. I'm sure we all are. Even the most corporate or the most white collar you could be. We all are.
Ooh.
Because if we don't, we have to survive. That's why I'm like, Luke, when you answer that question, would I do it? I mean, I can if I'm going to be honest, I can't say I would, because I would have been in the job that I'm doing now, because it's not my standard. So I'm being fair, as much as we are asking everyone to be honest about that question too. So right now, Luke, no. Strong no. I'm trying
guys, what's powerful is all of us as men, we're faced every single day to make decisions that is going to impact us, whether it be in a negative or positive way. And being a man in 2023 means that we're going to have to learn to process, and we've got to learn to really take some time to process before we present or before we commit.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, like impulsivity, we have got to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're living in that era where impulsivity seems to be quite easy, which is why sometimes as men we act first and then we think later,
which is bad.
All right, all of us are guilty of that. Sometimes we act first, then we think later.
Yep.
Right. And so being a man in 2023 is going to challenge us to start doing things differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to challenge us to break the cycle that we have been stuck in for a year now, or 2 years now, or 5 years now. It's going to challenge us to say, you know what, it's time for me to settle down and have a a committed relationship. It's going to challenge us to have balance between our personal and our professional life. It's going to challenge us to start asking for help when we need it and talk about our emotional needs.
You know, it's funny growing up, right? You're in high school, and if your friend have like one girlfriend, you laugh at him like, bro, what are you doing? I'm just, and then you have like 5, 6, and you feel like you're a man. You're like, yeah, I'm the thing around here. But lo and behold, that's where the damage starts. So you're like, because it gets old, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we're not as men, one of the things, and sometimes one of the reasons why we continue in those paths, Nando, is because we sometimes have become emotionally numb to how living our life that way impacts us.
correct.
You know, when a male consistently changes partners, he's impacted, but he doesn't realize that he's impacted because hey, that's what you do when you're a man.
Yeah, your mind is already stimulated about it, so you're fine.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, okay, but you're still hurting. You're hurting yourself without even knowing it, and that is a form of self-harming. When as a male you are not able to be consistent and stay in a committed relationship, and you're hopscotching from one partner to the next, you don't realize that you're actually hurting yourself more than you know. So being a man in 2023 is going to challenge you to step back from those behaviors and break those habits so that you can become healthier.
only if
Okay?
the schools could teach it too, right? That's where
If
that's
only
where all of it.
yeah, yeah,
Some
right.
schools, some schools do have good, structures and stuff, when it comes on to that. But not a, few.
Yeah, yeah. Lou put a funny comment here on Instagram. He said that we continue to be like politicians. We do anything necessary to keep our party in power.
Boy, let me tell you. Let me tell you about that politician comment. You're right. We gotta do what we gotta do to keep our party in power. But where does it end? Is there an ending, or is it gonna end us first? And then when we look, we have women driving buses, building buildings, driving tanks. They're already driving trucks, for sure, all over.
Mhm, mhm.
So what? Well, but
So,
the few who's gonna break the code, the few, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be some. You have some real good men out here, you know,
mhm,
examples of good fathers, good leaders, strong leaders. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so
And as you say that, Nando, that having strong fathers, having strong leaders, one of the recommendations that I would make here on XY Spark is some of us as men, we need to identify some strong leaders and allow ourselves to be mentored.
true, true.
That's what it means. That's what it could mean for some of us in 2023 to be a real man, is line ourselves up and get a mentor, someone who can help us to learn the things that we have not yet learned. Because the funny piece is there are a lot of and how do I say it, there are a lot of kids who are trapped in adult bodies.
Not a lot, quite a
Right?
few.
And a lot of us as men, there are a lot of us as men that we operate that way. That's why ego takes over us the way we. That's why we have so many tantrums. That's why it's hard for us to control or emotions. And there may be only two emotions that we are familiar with, and that's anger. That's anger, and hatred. We don't know anything else,
Nothing else. Nothing
right?
else.
But being a real man in 2023 means that we're going to have to step away from that, the temptation of continuing to be that guy. Right?
That guy is a powerful speech and a powerful word to say. If someone look at you and be like, yeah, that's that guy. You know, you have done it. You have done well.
Mm-hmm.
No matter your age, no matter your size, no matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
you in that light, you know for sure that you've done something or you're doing something.
Absolutely.
You know, and you saying that line yourself with proper people. Sometimes you just got to change your party. You know, just as Luke is saying, politicians, yeah, sometimes you got to change your party and go in a party where you pretty much you're aligning yourself with the right people and the right mentors. And they won't take you astray because those people they're already at a certain point in you know in their thing where they're like, this is what we do, brother. This is what we do. This is how we do it. So you do have people like those around. As I said, there's quite a few good men out there, you know, and I would love to get all of them in here. I would have
Yeah. So we want to send a shout out to the men out there who are, you know, doing their best to maintain certain standards and to have that balance in their spiritual, social, psychological, and emotional life, because that's what we need. You know, and as you're listening to this podcast, you may be watching it live, you know, or you may be watching it, you know, recorded later, as it will be on Facebook, it'll be on LinkedIn, it'll be on Twitch. We even want you to reach out to us and say, what did you hear from this podcast that resonated with you, or what topics would you like us to discuss moving forward? But we want to reiterate that maybe it could be that for you, being a man in 2023 may mean you have got to step out of your comfort zone.
Yes, sir. Okay? You got to.
Right? You have got to stop believing those lies that you have been telling yourself now for decades. You've got to move away from stop blaming your parents, stop blaming your mom, stop blaming your dad, stop blaming the foster home that you grew up in, stop blaming society. You have got to take ownership of the change that you want to see happen in your life. Why? Because it's your life. And yes, you might have had a bitter past. And yes, things that might have happened in your life where yes, you're hurting, you might have been traumatized, you might have been dealt with unfairly. But the more time you spend ruminating on all these things that have happened in your past, is the less time you're going to have to recover and heal to live in your present. Listen, so be a man.
I hope they took notes just now, you know, because I took some notes about that. Right, get out of your comfort zone, guys. Like we got to.
Yeah, want to say a shout out to someone that's joined us here. I think it's I Frank. Hey, we see your wave. We acknowledge you. You know, we're talking about what does it mean to be a man in 2023. And listen, we welcome your comment. You know, you stop by here shortly, but we want you to know that we're here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Every Wednesday.
We have two things going on. You know, we have two things going on. Can you tell them about it, Dad? I mean, tell them about XY Sports.
So guys, listen. You know, we also have going on right now the Spark Unleashed Challenge. Right. Now, the Spark Unleashed Challenge is a special program that we have designed. It's a live group life coaching program for men. Okay.
Okay, guys, it's a blueprint.
Come on, yeah, right. Okay,
proper blueprint too.
Right, and so if you want to engage in that, you know, you can connect with us. You know, you can look for us on Instagram or Facebook. You can look for us on Twitch. You can send us a message. We have links in these recordings. You can book a call with us if you want to enroll. And because the Spark Unleash Round 2 begins again on February 12 at 6 p.m. And just imagine for 6 weeks, you'll be in a room, in a space with other men getting real life coaching, and then you'll become part of an elite group of men who are consistently working on themselves. Okay, weekly group coaching calls. You become a part of this Park and Release tribe, and you will have that ongoing support. So now you never have to do anything alone. We have daily challenges. Like right now, we're doing a gratitude challenge. All right. And anyone who doesn't put in, their sentence in the gratitude challenge,
then let you know about it.
Right? Okay. Luke says this. Let's read this. Luke says, as men, and Luke is live on Instagram. He says, as men in 2023, we have to be willing to drop stuff on our way up to space every follow you on your journey. So what he's saying is that we have to be willing to drop stuff off, get rid of stuff, right? And even a shuttle drops its boosters along the way. So what he's saying, Luke is using the analogy of a space shuttle.
Getting rid of
the higher it goes, it sheds things, eh? I love this, Luke, man. Luke, this is powerful, man. We should invite Luke to come into space, eh?
Luke, listen, you get into space. Luke.
This is powerful. Luke is saying, as men, we have got to recognize that if we are going to soar to the top, we have got to be willing to shed. Can I say the dead weight?
The dead weight, yeah.
Shed the dead. As men, we have a lot of dead weight that we're carrying around. We have got to get rid of it. Okay? We have got to get rid of the dead weight of toxic associations. We've got to get rid of the dead weight of unhealthy relationships. We've got to get rid of the dead weight of self-sabotaging behaviors.
Especially that one.
We've got to get rid of the dead weight of staying stuck in the trauma of our past.
Of our childhood.
We've got to get rid of the dead weight of unforgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get rid of the dead weight that continues to keep us in that cycle where we feel like we are not good enough.
Right.
Okay, we have got to get rid of dead weight. Okay, hey, we see you. Just join us live on Instagram. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Send a shout out to you. I see you. Shopritz. Great to have you. We're here live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is XY Spark. This is our podcast. Okay, you can tune in later and watch this. It will be there up on Facebook. We're live on Twitch. We're live on LinkedIn.
Right, all platforms right now. We're
right
live on all platforms. Right.
And we want you to know, guys, that you can drop a comment in the chat because that's what we are here for on XY Spark. Our goal is to create this safe space every Wednesday night for men to come into this room and let's talk about it. And if you have a topic that you'd like us to discuss, please also type it in the chat. Okay, Nando will take note of it. Notice I say Nando, not me. We'll take a note of it. And when we come, we hope that you'll come when your topic is being discussed and you can say and join in the discussion because we want to make sure that we do our part to be real, effective men in 2023. Luke says, drop some baggage, even stuff or people who were important in the beginning.
Got to. Hey, I like this guy Luke, man. I'm promoting right now.
You like him?
Yeah, Luke yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to let go of that heavy weight. You got to, because the moment how far are you gonna go with it?
But something, Nando, sometimes I hear guys say this. I hear guys say things like, hey man, he's the only friend I've got, man. I've known him from high school. I've known her from, grew up in the same community, and we and because of that now, here's another thing. Being a real man in 2023 means that we are going to have to step out of that fear mindset.
The thing is, when you get to the point where you're ready to considering dropping friends, you've already grown past that. You're ready for it because you know where you're going. So the people who will probably look at you and say, "Oh man, it's my only friend from high school," they're not there yet. They still have a little bit more work to do because they're still looking back. They're still looking behind them. A shuttle, as Luke said, goes up. The only way it's coming back down is when it's finished, whatever it's going up for. And when it comes down, it's dead. That's it. You got to rebuild that shuttle all over again.
Yeah.
So, probably some people just need a little time to gather that together and be like, yo, listen, they're going to go to their friend and going to be like, listen, man, this is what's up. If that person is your friend from high school, they're going to be riding that shuttle up there with you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, as Luke speaks about dropping baggages, I think about my own story.
Right.
And my own journey to where I am today. As I look back, the community that I grew up in.
Hold on. That's gonna be in the podcast. It's a part 10 series. Your story. So don't give me too much. Don't try to. Yeah, I'm saying, like, you know, planned out here. It's a part of how this will come because the story has to be there to see. People are gonna wonder, why is Rolando, and doing this? Why is Rolando and his son doing this? Because people will wonder, because this podcast is not a one-time thing, it's not a two-time thing. We'll always be here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll always be here. So
and guys, listen, for those who joined us live, we have people who are live. We want you to know that tell somebody what's happening here.
Right, definitely share it. Definitely.
If you're a man and you're here, call on your buddies. If you're a woman and you're listening, tell your husband, tell your brother, tell your dad, tell your neighbor, tell your best friend to tell her husband. All right.
I definitely want the woman in here next week, because next week's topic is about single mothers growing boys. I'm giving you a secret. What does it mean? Because again, we're talking about men.
Absolutely. All right.
So I'm just letting you know, if you're listening and you have a little girlfriend or whatever, wife, whatever, we need the woman come at, because we want to hear what's going on too out there, pretty much, guys. So that is.
Yeah. And listen, guys, the invitation, I like that Nando is inviting ladies to come, because we don't know everything and we want to empower men. And if there are ladies out there who have some good ideas, we're not inviting ladies to come and lash the men. This is not the space for that.
Actually, it's an open space. If the lashing starts, we want to see what it's about. That's fine. No, I take that segment off the podcast when the lashing starts.
All right. Well,
I'm going to ask questions. Why?
Yeah. And why I'm saying that, Nando, is we want the space to be a safe space where men can come, because we want men to improve, we want men to grow, we want men to be empowered. All right. But we don't want the space to be a space where
it's scary.
When a female comes, the man feels the hair can't go there because I feel like I'm being attacked.
Right.
No, because that is sometimes for some men it's a trigger. So we want to work through that. And this space we're saying is a safe space where all are invited. But what we encourage is, let's seek to see we're at least being respectful and we're having tough conversations, but in a safe space.
It's a safe debate space, okay? The more I see going left, we're going to start banning people from the podcast. I'm sorry. We're going to ban one. But you're right there. I mean, if we're creating a space for men to come and open up and share their views and opinions and learn, and we don't want any bashing or anything like that, because, our women need strong men at the end of the day. So it would be bad to see that going on in a space. It's not a space for any bashing. It's all love, respect at the end of the day here. We're all here to learn. So
And you just said something, Nando, that popped out a percolating thought in my mind.
Right.
You said that women need
Strong
good men,
Yeah,
strong men.
strong men, good men. Yeah.
It would be interesting for me to get feedback from men and even women. What's that? What is a strong man? What
Again,
defines
that's
a strong man? What defines a strong man?
Listen, chat, everybody, like, listen, he's trying to give away all our topics, okay? That's also a topic coming up, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on, but it's fine. But that's one of our topics.
Yeah.
What does it like?
What defines a strong man?
We want to hear that mostly from the women.
Yeah, but it's good to get both sides, because definitely,
Right.
Men, and here's a scary reality. A lot of our men are MIA.
Definitely MIA.
A lot of our men are missing in action.
Yeah.
And the scariest part of it is there are some men who are missing in action right there at home.
Why?
Don't have a relationship with their families.
Yeah.
They don't have a good relationship with their spouses. They don't even have a good relationship with themselves. So they're not really living. They're just surviving.
Just breathing.
Yeah. They're just breathing. Right. And so, we want to challenge you, whoever you are, wherever you are. You have to ask yourself that question: am I that man? Am I a man in my home, but I'm MIA? Am I dependable? Okay. Do my kids trust me? Does my partner trust me? Am I a man of my word? And being a man in 2023 means asking some of those questions and being open enough to wait, hear what the answer is, and if the answer is not in line with that which you would prefer, do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time to stop being mediocre.
Listen,
step up.
Listen, step up. As we were saying in Jamaica, step up. But it was good. It was good. As I said, part two was pretty good. We wish we had more comments and stuff, because we really like to hear. But guess what?
Yeah. Well, we had some good interaction on Instagram.
Right.
So,
right. That was
Instagram followers who shared. And listen, guys, as we're about to wrap up our podcast for tonight, we want to invite you guys to join us again next week. All right. Those who have joined us live, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, wherever you are, you never commented, but we see you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here with us. Yeah. And guys, listen, man, this one thing we want to remind you of is that personal development is not an event. It's a lifestyle. And as we continue to promote holistic, healthy masculinity here on XY Spark, we look forward to have you with us again next week, same time.
Next week, same time, same place.
Same host.
Same
energy.
Always. Energy is always on point.
All right. So guys, listen, man, keep safe. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.